Alright everyone, Baron here, and you may be a little interested in the title of this video. And that is Rest in Peace Arcade Mode. Now, I'm not trying to be any very dramatic, but at the rate things are going, I really am wondering about the longevity of arcade mode, because it seems that, and a lot of people share this same sentiment, is that a lot of people think Gaijin is taking away the fun of arcade mode. Now, before I get into that, let's kind of go over the positives of what the 1.29 patch has. Now, there's a lot of visual and auditory changes, like things look crisper. There's some better animations. We got a lot better sound effects. 50 caliber machine guns sound like 50 caliber machine guns. The Japanese woodpecker machine guns sound exactly like that. Cannons sound more realistic. Everything's a little more distinctive. You can truly identify things more than just, oh, that's a Russian plane, oh, that's an American plane too. You know, I think that's a 20mm cannon, that's a Japanese machine gun, those are the American 50 cals right then. So right now I'm playing as the Russian reserves, and I had a hard time playing with my go-to aircraft, which are level 9 and below Americans right now. And we'll have this gameplay in the background while I kind of discuss some other things that I've been putting a lot of time and thought into with regards to the changes with 1.29. So there's this whole new economy system, and I mean, even more frustrating maybe to most players anyway, some people are enjoying it, is the new damage model. Now, my thoughts on the new damage model we'll get into when we kind of see some examples of that in this video. So let's start with the economy. Now, the first thing you may notice is, oh wow, my repair bills are much cheaper. So that equates to a lot of the people who are grinders in this game, grinding up to the next level and trying to be the most efficient with their silver lions. They're like, well, instead of having to wait a day for my repairs, I can just spend, you know, a smaller fraction of silver lions to play with them again. But then again, the trade-off is, if you were trying to use your old method of grinding, you're gonna have to wait almost twice as long now. Instead of waiting 1 day for, you know, 1.5 days for my Focke-Wulf 190 to be fully repaired, I have to wait, good lord knows how much it is now, but it is significantly greater. So what does that effectively do in terms of the game? Well, as before, you could just cycle out, you know, and wait a day. Now, you're either going to have to play reserves all the time, or you're going to have to wait 2 days in order to get your higher tiered aircraft back, or you're just going to have to spend the lions, which is what you're most likely going to do. Now, look at that right there. My first or second hit on that plane, and it freaking exploded. That's the new damage model for you. Now, I was pretty excited about that. I was like, oh man, I'm really efficient. I'm going to be able to take down guys much quicker. Well, what's the trade-off? If I can take down someone in one hit, and you've seen my videos, I can get pretty decent at sticking on someone's 6 and putting lead into them in order to bring them down. But that means anyone spraying at me gets a lucky shot, I'm likely to go down. So, anyway, back to, I guess, the economy. So repair bills are cut, but the automatic repair time is greatly increased. So you're going to be spending silver lions, whereas before you may not have on repairs at all, because you would be content to wait. And now it's just not going to be the case for most players unless you're super patient. But I think the majority of people in arcade mode are playing this for fun. They just want chaos. They want casual. I don't have to learn all the principles of, you know, being a pilot, you know, to have fun. Now here's a pretty good example, if you're watching the screen, that once your wing gets taken down, you are the walking wounded. I'm having to constantly adjust to keep keep my left wing from dipping. Now, I'm no aerospace engineer or pilot, but is that realistic? I'm like one of those puppets that's held up by string, and my left string has been cut, and so now I'm just hanging perpendicular to what I was. Like, is that realistic? It just feels retarded. I'm flying around, you know. Now instead of being horizontal, my plane is vertical in alignment. So I don't know, that just seems off to me, just because my wing was damaged. And yeah, that may be, even if it is accurate, is that necessary for arcade mode? How many players really use their roll and yaw and pitch controls? Probably not much, especially in arcade mode. Now, this is called arcade mode for a reason. There is historical battles, if you want a little more realism, if you want to get into it a little bit more. And then you have full realistic battles. So in arcade mode, and I really want you to consider what is your definition of arcade mode. Mine is, I want carefree fun. Yeah, things may be unrealistic, but I'm not playing full realistic battles. I'm playing a mode that is called arcade. Now, my analogy would be, look at NFL Blitz. That is started out as an arcade game, you know, the good old arcades that you go to, the big boxes. And compare that to Madden, which may not be the most realistic, but is more realistic. In NFL Blitz, it's completely unrealistic, but you're still playing football. You know, so everyone knows arcade is not, oh, well, I need historical accuracy, and if you can't do these crazy maneuvers and stuff like that. I mean, to me, it seems the whole purpose of arcade mode is just to have fun. Now, a lot of the sentiment in the community is that the new changes in 1.29 have basically gotten rid of the fun that we used to have. And now it's just, with the damage model, look at this plane. How long have I been flying around looking absolutely retarded? And I mean, I don't even think that's realistic, but I'm no aerospace engineer, as I said before. And this Beaufort puts another thing in. In patch 1.27, people were having an issue with bombing. They felt like they weren't getting much credit for their accomplishments in bombing. That was, I think, the consensus on what the issue was with bombing then. You could shoot down 10 ground targets, or you could bomb 10 ground targets, or shoot down one plane, and you'd get more credit for shooting down the one plane. So most people stuck to the air. Now with the new damage model, what do you find? Bombers are evaporated almost instantly by anything with decent firepower, whereas before they had at least a little amount of longevity to them. Now it's gone. You get a little more credit maybe in that there's these new streaks you can get. If you hit 10 ground targets in a row, you'll get a 10 ground target streak. Now look at this. I tried to adjust my pitch because I was adjusting my roll that whole time to try to get me level. I touched my pitch once, and since my left wing is magically retarded and now an anchor trying to pull me towards the earth, I botch a landing approach. So once your wing's down, in the future, I mean, I've tried landing with that type of scenario a few times, and it's sad, but it's humorous, and I've crashed every time. And I waste minutes trying to limp back to the airfield. So from a gameplay perspective, what does that mean? I'm going to bail out of my plane. And what does Gaijin maybe see? My theory is, oh, well, that's another repair bill you're going to have to pay for in Silver Lions. And with the new prices of aircraft to exorbitant costs, you know you're going to be more tempted to buy Silver Lions. Well, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that kind of a business model. I mean, you can implement your more accuracy in historical battle and full real battle, but leave arcade to just mindless fun. You know, just let us have arcade. Let it stay fun. So, My consensus is the arcade mode is losing. It's just smile, shit-eating grin as you're pulling retarded maneuvers, you know, and sitting on a bomber for like minutes chewing him with machine guns, and now you get hit in a wing and you're done. And the new economy basically means that they said they've implemented a new economy system. My opinion on it, and this is my opinion, is that you have to play as premium now, and what I would have been able to do in 1.27 I would have to do twice in 1.29 to get the same benefits or near that. And now there's these silly daily doubles, and I do a decent game on a daily double and it's not even as good as a decent game on 1.27. So the crew training costs are another thing. Like, you buy a plane for $1 million Silver Lions, and then you have to spend 200,000 to 400,000 Lions to put them in. I mean, I could buy it in 1.27. I could buy a plane for 400,000. So I want you guys to kind of give me your opinions. What do you think of this game so far? Like, are you enjoying it? Is arcade mode still fun for you? Look at that. That means I would have gotten 6,000 XP if this wasn't a daily double and I was non-premium for shooting down 5 aircraft, which is an average performance, and 7,000 Lions? Yeah, you can see my mouse jittering all over the screen. I'm a little pissed off about that. It just kind of blew my mind. So my personal opinion on the damage model for arcade mode, it's just shit. That's my thought. My just honest thought. Arcade mode's supposed to be fun. Keep it fun and you will get our money. Arcade mode players are the people with 9 crew slots. That means they're spending the golden eagles there. Arcade mode players are the people who will buy 2 boomerangs, even though they're the exact same thing, because they're going to fly 2 boomerangs in the same game. Historical battle players, full real battle players will not do that. I've bought, not necessarily with my Russians, but with most of my other factions, I bought a number of historical accurate. They have nerfed that. Why am I going to want to continue to buying premium aircraft? I'm going to continue to play this game. I do enjoy it. It is a lot tougher now, and I feel like I could adapt, but I would consider myself a decent player. So if I was terrible, I don't know. It's not too much fun anymore, so I really question the longevity of this game. Now, some of you may be thinking, Baron, I disagree with you. Arcade mode is not the most important game mode, and my personal opinion is arcade mode players are the bread and butter of this game. If this game is to last a long time, if its longevity rests on the shoulders of arcade mode. Now, my reason of that is, as I said before, why would a historical battle player buy 2 boomerangs? These are premium aircraft. A historical battle player or full real battle, you get 1 plane in those game modes. Now tell me why anyone in their right mind who did those game modes and those only would buy 2 boomerangs. They're practically the same thing. Furthermore, when you only have 1 plane, why would a full real battle player or a historical battle player ever even buy a backup plane? Never would. You never would need it. Now these are golden eagles. This is the currency. This is where the real money component comes in. So my argument is that arcade mode players will spend the most money on this game. So it increases the longevity of this game. More patches, more improvements, more game modes. The longer this game, this shelf life will last, depends on arcade mode players. Now if you don't agree with me on those points, another point is, how does experience get distributed? Well, a decent performance in arcade mode doesn't nearly equate to the same experience that you would get in historical battle or full real battle. So you could even make the argument that arcade mode players have the greater need for premium accounts than the other two. So we're more likely to buy it. And that because we want to fly as the jets. We want to, experience the craziness of just these beastly aircraft. And you're like, well, you know what, Baron? I don't agree with any of your points. The real pilots, those of us who are really flight simulator players, are what's really important. That's why Gaijin is making this game. Well, let's take a quick look at this. So there's 30,000 people online right now. And I'm in arcade mode and just the EU service. We'll just use this kind of as a little bit of a test. So there's 8,000 players. Now let's go to historical battles. 682. Now I'm no mathematician and I'm not going to do the math right now because I don't have a calculator. But let's just say that 8,000 is significantly greater than 694. And now let's look at full real battles. 136 waiting. So at this moment in time, like these historical and full real battle combined are not even an eighth of the player base of arcade mode players. And let's just say 25% of this 8,000 players actually spend a couple bucks on the game. So you got 2,000 people spending a couple bucks, and let's say everyone here is spending a couple bucks. Well, the numbers would speak for themselves. Now this is under a couple of assumptions, but I think they are safe assumptions to make for the reasons I mentioned earlier. And that is relates to premium aircraft and multiples of things, as well as these backup planes and talismans and the need for experience. Arcade mode players are the only ones really that are going to buy that. These backup planes and talismans, we need them more because we don't get as much experience. Now that's not to say I'm only an arcade mode player. If this game were to go on, if I were to keep having fun, I will keep playing this. I want to get into historical battles more. I bought a joystick, so I plan on using it in full real battles. I'm even contemplating, like I'm really, in 1.27, I was just having the time of my life in this game. I was contemplating, you know, at some point in the future, I may even look into getting, you know, the rudder pedals and stuff like that so I could really, really get into it. And granted, I've never played a flight sim before. I've never played a flying game before unless you count Star Fox 64. So basically, how am I going to learn stuff about, you know, fighting aircraft and all that stuff while I'm still having fun and not just jumping into full real battles or historical battles and just getting my butt kicked? I'm going to do it in arcade mode. That's where I'm going to do it. So my point, I will end everything on this notion. This game, the most important thing for the longevity of this game from a business standpoint and from keeping your fans happy is keep arcade mode fun. Don't make it, a lot of people are calling arcade mode now historical battles light. That's not the point of arcade battles. Call this something different. Don't trick me into thinking I'm going to go out here and have carefree fun. So, I'm Baron, and if you have criticism, I'm always open to it. Make it constructive or save your breath, because no one needs trolls. I'm Baron. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will attach, I'm going to put this up on Reddit to kind of foster a greater discussion. I want to see if people are agreeing with my sentiments on this or not. I want to see what the other points are. But basically, I'm going to continue to play this game. Don't think, oh, Baron's gone. It's a struggle now in arcade mode for me to kind of be at the same level, and that could be expected when there's change. I'm going to keep playing it. I feel like I could adapt, but I would like it to be fun. I don't want to have to limp around the map with my left wing pulling me down like an anchor to the ground in arcade mode. You know, whereas in 1.27, if I got hit a few more times, I would die because, you know, the structural integrity of my plane was greatly decreased. I'm going to keep playing, and I still have hope. I mean, this is beta after all. That's the thing we all need to remember. It is only beta. So this may be a social experiment by Gaijin. Let's piss off arcade mode players, the vast majority anyway, and see what happens. let's give people. Here's something else. I guess one last point, and I know I've said that a few times now. 1.29, the majority of aircraft that were added were bombers, and people had trouble with bombers before, and now in arcade mode, not too many people are touching bombers as much as they used to, because it's harder to bomb. So if then I want to know why were bombers added to every nation except for Britain? And then here's another thing. The USA, we got 2 new B-25s. When what we really need, I mean, those definitely fill a need between the A-20G and the B-17. So that was pretty decent. But we do have a lot of powerful fighter aircraft we can use to bomb. Everything has bombs, so that wasn't as needed as maybe, say, a stopgap between level 13 and level 20 in fighters. Now, if you look at the Germans, this kind of is shocking. Everyone knew that the Germans had the greatest expanded tech tree in the game, yet they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 new aircraft models. I mean, what's with that? Now look at Japan. They got 2. And these were much needed additions. They needed heavy bombers, but why add bombers to all of them when you decrease the, at least in arcade mode, the arcade mode playability of bombers? It's harder to bomb. That kind of baffles me. And the British got a new jet fighter, and they already had a lot. What about the Japanese jets? We have 1 German model, and yeah, maybe the Japanese didn't have, but put in some beefier fighters. Give us something better. And the Russians, Tu-2s. I don't know. I can't necessarily disagree with that choice. They have a pretty, to me anyway, but I play the Russians the least, so feel free to discard this comment. It feels like they have a pretty well-balanced tech tree. Germans, 7 new aircraft, and they already have retarded amount of choices. Japanese, I don't know. It seems really suspect to me when you add bombers to all the nations, save for the British, and then you decrease the arcade mode playability of bombers. I can't necessarily agree with that decision making, but that's my own opinion. So, as I said before, you got to deal with this long-windedness and the ADHD that's happening, because that's how we do it over here. But feel free to leave some constructive criticism. I want to know what you guys think, and I'll have this link up to Reddit, where hopefully that will be a forum for constructive criticism and a proper dialogue about what people actually think about 1.29. But let's be realistic. It's probably going to digress to a bunch of people going, "You're such a pussy, man. You can't deal with 1.29, bro. Why don't you just quit playing? This game's all about the full real battles. You suck. Learn how to fly an aircraft." Alright. Keep sucking in life. Anyway, I'm Baron, and see you guys out there, because I'm still giving this a shot, and it's only beta, and this is an awesome game. Or it was, and maybe still might be. We'll see. Time will tell.
No! Well, my engine just went out.
You'll never take me alive, coppers! Who is coming to meet me? Ah, fools. I have escaped you for now.
Sweet.
I'm heading back to base, man. I'm hauling ass. Oh, shit! Got a bogey on my junk.